السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
إن الحمد لله نحمده تعالى ونستغفره ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبد الله ورسوله أرسله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله وكفى بالله شهيدا فصلوات الله وسلامه عليه يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless us today and tomorrow for every day that will come in our lives and to extend our lives and grant blessings throughout our lives and to bless us and our families and every Muslim in the world. I want to share a story with you briefly about an individual I had the pleasure to meet. He says that when he was in his mother's womb, she's a Baptist Christian. She said she made an oath. She made a request from God that the child in her stomach be in his service. So the child was born, and at around the age 16, Islam was introduced to the individual. Now, we hear this from converts a lot. it is a process. It's not something that someone presents and, oh, hey, this is cool, let's be a Muslim. It is a process. And it takes a lot of courage to switch one's faith. And he said that I would pass by the masjid hundreds of times, trying to convince myself to go in, but I couldn't get myself in that door because I knew, or he knew, that if he entered, he would not leave the same person. And he says that at that time in San Diego, he was in San Diego, there were only 8 Muslims. 8. It was 1962. But he eventually entered the masjid, which today it is Masjid al-Taqwa, and he took Shahada. But as soon as he took Shahada, as he predicted, he didn't leave the masjid, the same person he entered. He left, enthusiastic, ready to preach the message he was honored to take. And he started him with a few Muslims that were present at that time. Now remember, this is the 60s, the time of oppression, persecution against blacks, the civil rights movement, and all that. Malcolm X was there, and Dr. King was there as well. This is the time he was living in. And in this time, he was putting the effort to spread Islam. He says at that time, 3 Muslims, according to him, could not be together legally. At that time, no one knew what a Muslim was. The word Muslim was not known. Ramadan was not known. Fasting was not known. He said that he was in school, and it was Ramadan, and it was lunchtime. So everyone's walking to the lunchroom. He goes another way. He says his teacher calls him, like, where are you going? He said, I'm fasting today. I'm going to the library or whatever it was. He's like, what's fasting? He's like, I'm Muslim. She's like, what are you talking about? She's like, I'm a Muslim, and in Islam that we fast in the month of Ramadan. She didn't know what he was talking about. So she went to him, patted him on his back, said, it will pass by, it will pass by. She thought he was sick. She thought Islam was like an illness. Fasting was like an illness. He couldn't eat. That was the time he lived in. A time where if you were to pass out brochures about Islam, you could potentially get arrested in the 1960s. And he said that we, as the 2, 3, 4 people, we were trying to preach Islam, trying to spread Islam, right? We were holding on to one thing, one promise of Allah, that He will send help from areas, from paths we would never expect. He was waiting, they held on to that. And in this gathering I was with this individual, he started crying, he started tearing. He said, 50 years I've been waiting to see you to our classroom. This is a classroom with Islamic studies, students of backgrounds from all over America, from various states, from Islamic studies, to imams, to chaplains, to those in the education profession. So I've been waiting 50 years. Allah promised us He would send us help from where we never expected, and you're that help. Meaning he finally started seeing the fruits of his efforts. 50 years. But he was proud, he was happy, and he had no regrets. But brothers and sisters, we go far beyond before that. Islam in America didn't start with this individual whose name, by the way, is Imam Tarik Aqil. Aquil. It didn't start with him. Someone gave him dawah. And someone gave that individual dawah. In fact, Muslims in America start from day one. From the time when Europeans would go to the African countries and take slaves, force them to go on their ships, and go to America. And amongst those slaves were Muslims, and amongst them, some of them were princes, and some of them were Muslim scholars. And they have their story here. Us here in America, we have a legacy we are continuing. OCIF, this masjid we are in, has a story behind it. It's not just a masjid where a few people came and said, okay, here's a masjid, here's a building, come and pray. There was a struggle before that. It was a small group of people who had a goal, who had a desire, and they pursued it. And it became what we have today. Garden Grove has a masjid, has a story behind it. Irvine has a story behind it. Every masjid in America has a story behind it. And that story goes back to a small group of individuals who wanted to do something for Islam. But even before that, you have the story of Malcolm X and Martin Luther King and Imam Tarik Aqil and others. And even before that, meaning we are standing on the shoulders of giants. us here in America. And in order to fully appreciate that, coming to OCIF or going to Garden Grove, going to any masjid cannot just simply be a ritual. It's something I'm used to. Now it becomes, I am continuing a story. I am continuing a legacy. I am continuing the efforts of a small group of people. That's how it is. And the reason I bring up these stories is because a few days ago, some of our prominent imams and Muslim activists went to Washington, D.C. To protest against DACA and the Dreamers issue. Now this was an unauthorized protest. They were arrested for, what's the term, for, no, not trespassing. Civil disobedience, right? It's nothing serious. They just arrest because it's unauthorized protest. They're protesting the administration's abuse of this situation. And today, I use this platform to say I am proud of their efforts. People like Umar Sulaiman, Linda Sarsour, Imam Zaid Shakir, and others who went there fighting for the rights of a people who are weak. Because that is the legacy of those who even come before the first American Muslims here. Before the Muslims, when they expanded. It goes back to the legacy of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They are continuing that. They are applying the character of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So I am proud that they have passion in these issues most of us could care less about. And by the way, these issues don't just affect the Latino population. It affects some of the Muslims too, who are here. And unfortunately, 5 people, 5 imams, isn't enough for us Muslims to continue our legacy here. It needs more. It needs every single one of you. 5 imams, and great leaders aren't enough. They need every single one of you. They have led the effort. They are seeking your help. CARE has led the effort. They are seeking your help. Shura Council has led the effort. They are seeking your help. Uplift Charity has led the effort. They are seeking your help. And all these institutions that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us with, they are seeking your help. And you can help. And you should help. Every single one of us needs to have some sort of effort outside of our daily routine for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Do you know, on Saturday or Sunday, just the one that passed, here we held a candidate forum. We invited 5 or 6 potential congressmen, right, running for Congress, to come and discuss and talk to the community. We only had about 30, 40 people show up. And of those 30, 40 people, half of them were non-Muslims, right? Why do we see such efforts as minute? Why don't we take the time on a Sunday, right, we're off, from 2 to 5, it's not really early to say that, we're sleeping in. Why can't we take a little bit of time to come and listen to them? Now, these individuals who came and saw just a few people here, the next time we call them, or another message calls them, they're going to think, oh, no one's going to come, I'm going to go to some other event. And our voice becomes nothing. In a time where we need our voice to be loud and strong. And apparently, statistics show that, how many Muslim Americans vote? The percentage. Think. Just give yourself a second and put a percentage. How many Muslim Americans vote? 12%. We are 500,000 just in Southern California. 500,000. But only 12% of us vote. Whereas in the Jewish community, I've heard 87% vote. And they are smaller in number. We need our voice and we need to be active. 5 imams and activists aren't enough. So we need to continue that legacy. So I want to talk a little bit about us, some reasons why we don't become involved. This is stuff I thought from the top of my head, why Muslims aren't involved. Number 1, we're not inspired. The individual might say, I'm not inspired, I don't know what to do, I don't have a passion for political issues, I don't have a passion for this and that, right? How do we deal with that? That is not a good excuse. Because you know what? Successful people don't become successful because they were inspired, just because they were inspired. They start their efforts because they were inspired, but they didn't become successful out of inspiration, out of enthusiasm. They became successful out of dedication and persistency. A successful person isn't someone who says, today I feel like doing something, therefore I'm going to do it. We all do that. It's not a big deal. A successful person is someone who says, I don't feel like doing it, but I'm going to do it anyway. That's a successful person. We don't need to be inspired in order to be progressive. We don't need to be inspired in order to put our efforts in. The Prophet ﷺ even teaches us that as Muslims, we're not always upright. We're not always enthusiastic. We don't always have the energy. Rather, the Muslim is he mentioned a certain plant. When the wind comes, it blows it this way. We feel a little bit down. And then it goes back up. And then it gets blown another way. And we feel down again. That is a Muslim. But what makes you a sincere Muslim, a strong Muslim, a true Muslim, is when you don't want to pray, you pray. When you don't feel like fasting, you fast. When you think about Ramadan, which is coming in 2 months or so, that man, these long hours, I'm going to work, right? I wish I didn't have to fast, but I'm going to fast anyway. That's true Iman. That's where it is. Our community does not need to be an inspired community in order to be strong. We need to be a dedicated community. We need to be a disciplined community. Those willing to take just a little bit of time from their week, or from their month, or from their free time to do something for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You might ask yourself, what can I do? Where can I help? I'm not a professional. I don't have any major skills or any unique skills. It doesn't matter. You don't need unique skills for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give you reward for your efforts. In fact, some Sahaba would join the expedition, or the military expedition, and they're weak, right? They're not going there because they're going to give strength to the Muslims. They're going there just to add one more number, just one more person. Because numbers do matter. If we had more people, right? I'm not criticizing you, I don't think I'm bashing you, right? But if we had more people for this candidate forum, then it would open their eyes more. They would go back to their circle and say, man, there's a lot of people in the masjid. When they retire and other people take their advice, they'll say, go to the mosque. There's a lot of people there. You get a lot of votes. That's how it works. So if you don't have any professional skills to offer, your presence is enough. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewards you for that. Because your intention is to give strength to the Muslims by number. And your presence does that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if we could move forward please, brothers and sisters. Take a moment to move forward. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in a hadith, or the Prophet mentions in a hadith, that an individual does a small good deed, a small one. It's so small they think nothing of it. Yet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes that small deed and keeps investing in it and developing it until the day of judgment, he finds or she finds that good deed as a mountain of good deeds. Someone smiles to someone else, and that affects them. They see the Muslim, the woman, wearing her hijab, and she smiles. Man, look, that Muslim smiled to me. That's very kind. Let me go look up what Islam is. Now that lady thought nothing of her smile, yet it started that other individual on a journey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they go on the day of judgment, this lady, and she sees that. She has all this reward. She has no idea where it came from. Where is this from, Ya Allah? It's at that time you smiled. That caused the individual to become a Muslim. And you never thought anything of that. So you don't need to be inspired. You don't need to be enthusiastic in order to put effort. We need you. Islam wants your effort, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewards your effort. Number two, I don't have time. I don't participate because I don't have time. That's a pretty legitimate excuse. But you know what, brothers and sisters? I want to share with you what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught the Prophet in the Quran. He says, وَأْمُرْ أَهْلَكَ بِالصَّلَاةِ وَاصْطَبِرْ عَلَيْهَا لَا نَسْأَلُكَ رِزْقًا. Command your family to pray. And be patient with it. Be patient with prayer. Right? It takes a lot of effort. You need to be patient with it, and we all feel that. لَا نَسْأَلُكَ رِزْقًا. We don't ask for provision from you. You are not required to give Allah money in the day of judgment. Right? نَحْنُ نَرْزُقُكَ وَالْعَاقِبَةُ لِلتَّقْوَى. We will provide you. In other words, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, yes, you have your daily life. Yes, you have your financial responsibilities. But don't let that overtake your life to the point where you leave Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you leave servicing Islam. Rather, leave a time for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, leave a time for Islam, Allah will provide you. So, an extra hour of work, sometimes you should say, no, this extra hour, I'm not going to take this shift, I'm not going to take this overtime, I'm going to go do something for the sake of Allah, and you will find, by the promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran, that He will give you something better. He will replace that money for you. This is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's advice to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is our role model. Take the time, just a little bit, once a month, once every 2 months. Find what CARE is doing, find what Uplift is doing, find what Shura Council is doing, and do something. And you will find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will replace that free time with something better. When you give something up for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He replaces it with something better. مَنْ تَرَكَ شَيْئًا لِلَّهِ عَوَّضَهُ خَيْرًا مِنْهُ. This is a promise from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you leave anything for the sake of Allah, such as your free time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will replace it with something better. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. Number 1, we are not inspired. Number 2, we don't have the free time. Number 3, we'd rather have fun. I have extra free time, I'm going to Disneyland. I'm going to go to this, which is all perfectly halal and permissible. Well, my dear brothers and sisters, when these 5 Muslim activists went to DC and they left their families and they put the money for that plane ticket, and they put themselves in harm's way, right? They didn't go to have fun. And they might not have had fun. But you know what they got out of it? They didn't have fun. They didn't get fun. They got an adventure. They got an adventure. These are the ones who are continuing the legacy and the adventures of the ones before them. When Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when we look at his biography, and we look at his life, the 23 years, we can say that that was an adventure. An adventure that started off very bleak, seemed to be going nowhere, yet skyrocketed to something that this world has never seen before. And those companions continued that adventure by leaving Medina and going out to the lands to giving da'wah and calling people to Islam and establishing cities in Syria and in Baghdad and in present-day Cairo. And they continued. And they continued that. And the scholars came and continued those legacies. And Muslims came and continued that legacy. When we are active with Islam, we don't just have fun. We have something better than that. We have an adventure. We gain a legacy. These individuals will go back with a story to share with everyone, with a role model to give, to offer to the youth. This is what you get. So sometimes when you say, man, should I go and take my family out hiking? Or should I go to this candidate forum? Or this other event? You know what? When you leave something for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah will let you have more fun than if you were to go and do something else. This is what Islam offers you. It doesn't offer you just fun. It offers you a legacy. It offers you an adventure. So, my brothers and sisters, is to reiterate, number 1, of the reasons why we are not active, we don't feel inspired, and the answer to that is that you don't have to be inspired. That success isn't based on inspiration, it's based on dedication. Number 2, we don't have that time. And I said that if you give up some of your time for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah will bless your time and replace it with something better. And number 3, we'd rather have fun. And my reply to that is, when you do stuff for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you'll find that you have more fun and you have an adventure for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have a few announcements. Just a reminder not to park in our neighbor's parking. All those buildings are private parking. Park on the street or within the masjid premise if there is available parking. OCIF's Muslim Single event is coming up on Sunday, April 1st at Mission Viejo Community Center. Registration is open. Please spread the word. Please support Pillars Academy, serving infants to kindergarten, and visit their booth outside. They are hosting fun-filled carnival at Mason Park on March 24th. Please stop by for more information. The Friday Quran class is at 4:30 tonight. My OC meeting, the youth group, is at 6 p.m. Issues facing your youth tonight at 6 p.m. The topic tonight is, my parents don't understand me. Right? So the youth is saying, my parents don't understand me. How do you as parents deal with that reality? That's tonight at 6 p.m. and I will be giving that. My OC's barbecue is on Sunday, March 18th at Olympia Park at 2:30. OCIF Pillars Academy Weekend School is now accepting applications for highly qualified Quran teachers. Please apply at the office. Boy Scouts, our first outdoor event in conjunction with Garden Grove Masjid, is on March 17th at Irvine Regional Park from 7:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. It will be hiking, breakfast, and we'll have sports and activities. For the parents who took an application, please return it to me. For those who would like an application, they are upstairs, they're available upstairs for you to take. If you'd like to join our email list, then please give me your email or send me an email saying that you'd like to join the email list. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us the enthusiasm and the efforts to help Islam and to work for the sake of Islam and to stand up for the justice of those who are being dealt with unjustly, to stand up for the rights of those who are weak. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to put in our hearts the nur, the light of Iman, and to let it grow and grow until on the Day of Judgment we, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with strong faith and happy to meet Him. Allahumma ighfir lil muslimin wal muslimat wal mu'minin wal mu'minat al ahya'i minhum wal amwat innaka sami'un qareebun mujibud da'awati ya rabbil alamin. اللهم أصلح لنا ديننا الذي هو عصمة أمرنا وأصلح لنا دنيانا التي فيها معاشنا وأصلح لنا آخرتنا التي إليها معادنا واجعل الحياة زيادة لنا في كل خير واجعل الموت راحة لنا من كل شر ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وأقم الصلاة.